Buckeye Talk coming to you from Lincoln, Nebraska. Ohio State beats the Cornhuskers 26-17 here. Stephen Means from cleveland.com, and I'm Nathan Baird. How concerned are you with Ohio State's offense right now? Last week against Penn State, it was red zone struggles. One time out of 6 times they got in the red zone were they able to get a touchdown. Today, couldn't get in the red zone. The drives were falling short of the red zone, and even when they did get in there, they were again sort of settling for field goals. 4 field goals again today for Noah Ruggles. I don't think we looked at him at the beginning of the year as being the difference maker when Ohio State had to play Nebraska, but here we are. So where do you feel like this offense is going wrong, and where does it need to get back on track?
I think part of this is we had put the offense on such a pedestal that now it's coming back down to normal here. It's still the best offense in the Big Ten and still one of the better offenses in the country, but it's not by far the best offense in the country. We shouldn't be talking about it like Alabama 2020 and LSU 2019. They need to earn that again at this point because they're not executing, as you said, they're not executing in the run game. They're not executing in the red zone, and a lot of that is I think it's time to just pick 5 offensive line starters. I understand that there are multiple guys you feel like deserve to play, but at some point you got to have that continuity of those 5 guys out there. Whether it's Matthew Jones is one of your guards and you put an MPF back at right tackle and Thayer Mumford back at left tackle and you figure out the other spot, or it's what we've been seeing for the most of the season. They can't keep messing around with this offensive line because that's part of the problem. This offensive line is not getting pushed out the line of scrimmage, and it's messing up the run game, which is putting them in a position where C.J. Stroud's throwing 50-plus passes. So it starts there. I'm very concerned about what this offensive line is going to look like because I feel like as that gets better, it allows the rest of the offense to get back to being the explosive stuff we've seen the last couple weeks.
Here's a problem with the offensive line stuff, though. I mean, DeJuan Jones was sick today. It's why he didn't start. Ryan Day says that Nicholas Petit-Frere was missing some practice this week and may have been affected by that again today. I don't know, and that's why. So I think things are getting jumbled a little bit there because of some health reasons, too. I don't think they're always just switching guys around for the sake of switching guys. So I think that's been a factor, but I do think you're right that continuity on the offensive line will help this ground game get its footing under it. Now, whether that is a decision or whether they just need to have some better luck with health, I don't know, but I think you're right that will help. The other thing that I'm curious about is, this stage of the season, I think we expected there to just be, C.J. Stroud talked today about, both those interceptions were his fault, like blatant bad decisions on his part. And I asked him after the game, like, just how off did you feel with no Garrett Wilson out there? And, he admitted that it's a factor. Doug was texting about this during the game, that we always, because Ohio State is so talented, that we think that one guy missing shouldn't be crucial, except maybe Stroud, I suppose. But, like, with any other guy missing, maybe Trayvon Henderson, the receivers are supposed to be so good. You take one out, they can plug it with somebody, right? Well, but Garrett Wilson has probably been the most consistent performer in this offense all season from day one. Because, Chris Olave, as good as he is, has had games where he just didn't show up, at least wasn't getting targeted. Same kind of with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Has had some big games, had some other games where he wasn't targeted. And you can always kind of count on Garrett Wilson to have a handful of opportunities in every game and come through on them. And so I think that was missing today, and I'm not going to blame the whole offensive situation on that, but it's where it's not an apples and oranges comparison to last week because you were missing a guy that you count on as like sort of the bedrock of an offense. So they got to get him back, and Ryan Day said that they think the day-to-day thing will start with him on Sunday, and they expect to have him back for the home game against Purdue on Saturday. But obviously anything long-term with him is potentially a big problem. And I got to say, this Purdue game coming up, it was very early on, but they were leading Michigan State. And it's a defense that has played better than people thought, and they've got one of the best defensive ends in the country in George Karlaftis. So, again, that offensive line is going to face a challenge from Purdue. I don't care what the outcome of this Michigan State game is. I think it's somebody they're going to have to try to make sure doesn't have a negative influence on this game and find a way to overcome that against the Boilermakers. Get the text all week, 614-350-3315. We'll be bringing you news and analysis all week heading into that game from Buckeye Talk.